Hey, Linda. I'll wait a few minutes for everyone to come in. Oh, give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to go check on dinner and I'll be right back.
I have a brand new shade in mulberry that I'm dying to try. I love the Prime Eyes Glide Eyeliner from Prime Cosmetics. So good for my watery eyes. Avocado and olive oil in it. So when you lay it down, it just glides so smoothly. No dragging on the eye. I just love the difference a little mascara and a beautiful eyeliner makes. If you want to be even more gentle on your eyes, pull farther down on the pencil, and that way you're not applying too much pressure. How simple is that? It is smudge proof, water resistant. It lays down where I put it. You have to try this.
Oh, I'll be lighting a fire soon and folding my laundry. That was the ad. That was the ad. Okay, so we have sound. Now I'm going to move this over here so I can turn on my desk light so that I can read more comfortably with y'all. Okay, here we go. All right. Hey, everybody. Christy, chapter 27. And remember, if you're new here, I always put these in a playlist. So if you want to catch up, you just go to the playlist, the live playlist for Christy. All right, chapter 27. The next afternoon, as soon as my last pupil had gone for the day, I started for Miss Alice's cabin. She was at home and showed no surprise when she opened the door and saw me standing there. I had scarcely gotten inside before I found myself saying with no preliminaries, I have to talk to you. 2 days ago, in talking with Dr. McNeil, I discovered something about myself. It's that I really don't know what I believe about my religion. I guess I never thought of it before. I made a stupid hash of answering some simple questions Dr. McNeil put to me. It was embarrassing. The half smile around Miss Alice's lips and her gray eyes looking into mine conveyed the message. Go on, I'm listening. Out of her quietness, a thought flowed to me. Was I more embarrassed because of the bad impression I made on the doctor or because I was confused about my belief? I blurted out, Miss Alice, I'm here because something on the inside of me seemed to point an imperious finger in your direction and commanded, go. A smile tugged at her mouth. Christy, child, whatever that is on the inside of thee, it certainly has rare dramatic talent. It should go on tour immediately to play Hamlet or Macbeth. But thee was speaking of a conversation with the doctor about religion. Yes, I'll say this about Dr. McNeil. His questions were very clear, all right, but maybe his medical training helps him to think clearly. But suddenly I got to remembering all the vague preaching I've heard and the foggy Sunday school teaching and the fuzzy religion in general. Why does it have to be that way? But what are those clear questions of Dr. McNeil's? He accused me of parroting other people, you especially. I may as well tell you. He wanted to know what I believe about God. And I think he put it, what's your working philosophy of life? Why is this Christianity important to you? He wanted to know what difference it makes to me. And your answer left you dissatisfied. Worse than that, I didn't have any answers. That's a horrid discovery to make. That's a great discovery to make. The gray eyes were sparkling now. I don't understand. So many people never pause long enough to make up their minds about basic issues of life and death. It's quite possible to go through your whole life making the mechanical motions of living, adopting as your own sets of ideas that you've picked up somewhere, someplace or another, and die never having come to any conclusion for yourself as to what life is all about. But you, Christy, are facing these issues early. That's good. But Miss Alice, how do I fathom what life is all about? Here are all these great philosophers across the centuries with better minds than I have, and one religion says this and another religion says that. Maybe one religion is as good as another. Who knows? Maybe there isn't any final truth. How can a person like me be sure? I love Miss Alice, by the way. Somebody very wise anticipated your question. All thoughtful men ask the same question sooner or later. So he left us a way so that we can be sure. It's as specific as a doctor's prescription or as an algebraic equation. Here, I'll write it down for you. There was a little desk in the corner. Miss Alice went over to it, sat down, opened one of the desk's cubby holes, took out a piece of notepaper, and began to write. As I stood watching her, a faint fragrance, something like dried sweet clover, only a bit more aromatic, wafted around me. It stirred some memory, but at the moment I could not recapture it. Then Miss Alice blotted the paper, folded it, and handed it to me. Whenever you've taken a written prescription from your doctor, she said, the first step after that is yours. You move on this. She indicated the folded paper that she had given me, and then God will move. I guarantee it. And as for religion being vague, well, it isn't. It's been the delight of my life to find God far more common sense and practical than any human I know. The only time I ever find my dealings with God less than clear-cut is when I'm not being honest with him. The fuzziness is always on my side, not his. I stared at her, fascinated, at the certainty with which she spoke. The piece of paper lay warm in my hand. I wanted to look at it, but Miss Alice had not quite finished. More people than not think religion dull. Some religions are dull. Some religions are dull. But believe me, Christianity isn't. It is the most fascinating, delightful thing I know. You're standing poised on the threshold of a great adventure, Christy. Go on now. You're dying to see what I wrote, she said airily. Go and take the first step. She gaily waved me off. So I left her and started walking in the opposite direction from the mission house, still restraining myself from reading what was written on the slip of paper. But I did lift it to my nose. Yes, that same fragrance clung to the paper, and then I remembered. The clothes, a woman's clothes that Dr. McNeil had loaned to me to wear that afternoon. Old Theo had dumped me in the creek. Woodruff, that was it. But not many women in the cove could possibly use such a sachet. I thrust the paper in my pocket. The dirt trail I was following was well known to me. For the first part of it, the way it rose in a gradual ascent, skirting the outside margin of Cold Springs Mountain. Black-eyed Susans were thick among the path. Then I came to a certain giant tulip poplar tree where I left the trail and plunged into the woods. Here it was crunchy underfoot, mossy in spots and cool, a world in itself. A few hundred yards on, I parted the rhododendron and laurel thicket and slipped into the sanctuary of my little woodland room. This was a site that I happened upon about 2 weeks earlier at the height of the trouble with Lundy and the schoolboys and the moonshining worry, when I had felt the need of solitude to escape confusion and to think. Immediately, this had become my secret retreat. Outcroppings of flat rocks surrounded by moss had kept the forest undergrowth from impinging on the enclosure. Water tumbling down from the heights above formed a miniature waterfall over one of the boulders. The clear, cold water being caught in a hollowed-out place in the rock floor. Ferns overhung the tiny pool. When I parted the laurel and rhododendron branches that formed the walls of my woodland room, there before me was a panoramic view of the valleys of Pigeon Roost Hollow and Cutter Gap running together running together to form the cove. The mountains of Lonesome Pine Ridge to the west of El Pano. But at the moment, I was wasting no time on the scenery. I had waited long enough. The jaunty handwriting with its exaggerated curving capitals read, "If any man will do his, the Father's will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak it myself." Now let me repeat that. If any man will do this, do his, the Father's will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak it myself. In other words, I think the thing here is finding that quiet, still voice of God within us all and trusting it. I read the words over 2-3 times trying to comprehend. I felt let down. Why did the Bible always disappoint me this way? Other people seemed to get meaning out of it. Miss Alice certainly did. Why couldn't I? What had I expected while I was standing there watching Miss Alice write? Some magic? Obviously. Then I tried to recall her exact words. Go and take the first step, she had said. Something about the next move, then being up to God. But what is the first step? Opening your heart to communication with God. I think that's what I think. I looked at the paper again and stared at it a long time. Any man. Well, that could be me. If Christy will do the Father's will, what was his will for me, Christy? I had thought I had been doing God's will when I marched up to the front of the Montreat Auditorium and told Dr. Ferrand I was volunteering to come to this forsaken place. What more? What now? I set my mind to reason it out. The words seemed to say that obedience was important, and since this must have been Christ speaking, then he was telling us that some sort of knowledge or insight about him and his doctrine, what he taught, the ability to know whether it was real or really true or not, would follow on the heels of obedience. A kaleidoscope of impressions and faces danced through my mind. David, with his jet black hair, intense brown eyes, and his manliness, his booming voice, the impatience of his fervor about what he thought right. Dr. McNeil, the way annoyance toward him would build in me time and again. I would not think about him. I would not think about him. Little Burl, with the freckles marching across his face, always reaching out for love. He might have slipped away from us, perhaps if it had been the little boy's capacity to receive love that had helped to save him. Lundy, big, brutal, with his pimply face and his small, ugly eyes. But somehow one of God's creatures, too, who had to be dealt with some way. Fairlight Spencer, a princess in a homespun. As I had come to think of her. Her name was so right. Spencer's fairy queen. To the manner born, her mind athirst to learn, her hands reaching out for beauty. Tom McCone. I could see again his crumpled, blood-stained body slumped over in that saddle. Opal. Opal. The swinging thoughts stood still, like the gyrating needle of a delicate instrument finally coming to rest, to point steadily. Go to Opal. Talk to Opal. Opal is the key. But talk to Opal about what? I asked back. She holds the key to what? Remember obedience? Go talk to Opal. To the tangled mess of relationships in the cove at the moment. Okay. But talk to Opal about what? I asked back. She holds the key to what? To the tangled mess of relationships in the cove at the moment? Surely not. Opal and Tom were themselves caught in the thick of the mess. But the gyrating needle did not move again. There it pointed quietly, with a take it or leave it, obey it or not, it was up to me quality. However fantastic or silly I might think all this was. I rose from the rock where I had been sitting, wondering how long I had been there. Quite a time, apparently, because my legs were numb. I parted the laurel branches to look. There was the cove, the troubled cove with its poverty and its smells, with so many problems, as if embraced within the borders of one small kingdom, a sampling of the hungers and lacerations of the whole world. The light breeze of the earlier afternoon was gone now. Not a rustle stirred the leaves around me. A brooding quietness lay like a presence over the mountainside and valley, like it was waiting for her to decide what to do. Eh? That's what I get. The sun was low in the sky, light mauve. If I hurried, there would be time to get to Opal's before dark. Yes, I would go, though I had not the least idea of what I would say or do when I got there. Thank you for joining me for Christy chapter 27. We'll see you again soon as I get a moment like today where I can sit down and read to you. I love you guys. Take care. God bless. I got to fold laundry, do dishes, and then I've got to do my live at 4 with my patrons. Mwah. Thanks for joining me. Take care. God bless. I love reading for you guys. I really do, especially live.